Let's head to the voicemail of Truth and Reason.
Hi, this is Rico. The past few days, I've seen many fans bashing Andrew Berry because he cut Ika. Obviously, you don't want to cut a third-round pick so quickly. And in my opinion, a third-round pick should be able to be a starter on your team at the very least. But I've seen fans saying Barry has struggled mightily in the draft, which is a completely false narrative. I mean, seriously, show me one GM that doesn't miss on high draft prospects. For the misses he has had, he also has found some really shiny gems. And finally, to the great Jim Donovan, Godspeed, brother. I wish you a full recovery, and the Browns will win the Super Bowl this season in your honor. Let's go. Thanks.
As always, appreciate all of the voicemails. Tim, I don't know that Andrew Berry has struggled or number one, he hasn't had first-round picks. Jedrick Wills wasn't a great pick at 10. He has, I will say this, hasn't really been super successful drafting wide receivers or defensive tackles. Has been really good at drafting cornerbacks and interior offensive linemen.
Yeah, and don't discount DeJuan Jones either. And I think that's what kind of lessens the impact of missing with Siaki Ika, is they came right back, I think it was 13 picks later, and drafted DeJuan Jones, and that already looks like a steal. I mean, right now he's poised to be your starting right tackle in week 1 and potentially for the foreseeable future, especially if he could continue the momentum he showed a year ago. But I think fans should understand, or I want them to kind of understand a little bit that, there's no such thing as batting 1,000 as a general manager. If you're batting about an average of, say a great major leaguer in terms of, producing productive starters out of the draft, I think you're doing a good job. If you're talking like, 40% of your guys are in your 40% of the guys you draft are in your 2 deep or whatever, that's a good job for the Browns. And I think if you're going to judge a GM off what they do with the 98th pick in the draft, and I think that was one of the 4 or 5 final picks of the third round anyway. Those are the compensatory picks. So we're talking guys that have been passed over by pretty much every team at least 3 times. If you're going to judge a general manager off those picks, there's not going to, no general manager is going to last that long if that's the standard you're holding them to, because when you get that far in the draft, there's a reason you're taking guys have certain flaws, and there's a reason guys get passed on that many times. So naturally, you're going to miss far more than you hit. You just have to make the hits count. And when you're at the top, maybe you want to minimize missing, but at the bottom in the later rounds, if you can get that high ceiling player to pop for you, that's when you can really shine, I think, as a GM when it comes to the draft.
Yeah, here's the thing that I would say. Look at the roster. Doesn't matter if you draft him, if you find a way to trade for him, however you put them together. His job is to put together a good roster. Right now, he's put together a really good roster. You can nitpick and say this and that, and you can say this trade and that trade. Look at the Browns roster. Objectively looking at it, people will say it's a top 2 or 3 roster if you discount the quarterback. And again, the quarterback's been hurt. So if you want to sit there and say he's not doing a great job with the roster, you're just not paying attention.